My old best friend, let's call him Evan, had a lot going on in his life. He struggled with insomnia. He had night terrors that sometimes left him screaming in his sleep, and he battled depression. I'm sure there were other personal things he never shared with me. All I knew was that he took a lot of medication just to get through his days. One evening, Evan called me, his voice tense and shaky. He'd just had a huge fight with his roommate. From the way he described it, it wasn't just yelling. It almost turned physical. He said he needed a place to crash for a couple of nights to cool off. I told him it wasn't a problem. He could take the couch in my apartment until things settled down. When he arrived, I tried to ask him what had happened, what the fight was about, but he brushed it off, saying it didn't matter. I decided not to press him. Evan wasn't the type to open up when he wasn't ready. He dropped his backpack in the corner of the living room and spent most of the day glued to my TV, switching between watching shows and playing Call of Duty on my Xbox. I hung out with him for a while, but I had my own errands to run and work to catch up on. Later that night, when I came home, he was already passed out on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. I didn't want to wake him, so I just walked quietly past and got ready for bed. Somewhere around 2 or 3 a.m., I woke up feeling incredibly thirsty. My water bottle on the nightstand was empty, so I decided to head to the kitchen. I walked through the living room quietly, expecting to see Evan still on the couch. But the couch was empty. His backpack was still there, so he hadn't left. I figured maybe he'd gone to the bathroom. I didn't think much of it. I went back to my room, leaving the door cracked open, and sat on the bed. But several minutes passed, and I never heard him go back to the couch. I was about to get up to look for him when I heard it. A strange, faint ticking or clicking sound. It reminded me of the kind of noise a small rodent might make, except it was too slow, too deliberate. I glanced toward the far corner of my room, and that's when I saw him. Evan, standing completely still in the dark, his arms straight at his sides. I screamed and jumped up, heart pounding. Even in the low light, I could tell it was him. I threw my pillow at him, yelling, "What the hell are you doing?" He flinched, stopped making the ticking noise, and then, without a word, turned and walked out in this stiff, unnatural way. I heard him collapse onto the couch. When I followed him on a moment later, he was lying there, eyes closed. I realized he must have been sleepwalking. The next morning, I asked him about it. He said he didn't remember any of it. I asked if he'd ever sleepwalked before. He told me no, at least, not that he was aware of. The day went on normally after that. We hung out, played some games, ordered food. That night was supposed to be his last night at my place. I woke up again in the middle of the night, though this time I wasn't thirsty. Something just pulled me out of sleep. I decided to check the living room, curious if he was still on the couch. He wasn't. Again, I called his name, loudly this time. No answer. I checked the kitchen, the bathroom. Nothing. I stepped back into my room and looked around. Still nothing. So I sat back down on my bed, trying to shake the unease. That's when I heard it. A muffled voice. It was low, hard to make out, like someone whispering into their own hands. The sound was coming from my closet. My closet door was open about 6 inches, and through that gap, I saw his face, just peeking out from the darkness. His hands were over his mouth. I yelled at him, told him to get out of my closet. He didn't move, didn't say a word. I told myself he was sleepwalking again, but my body was telling me something was wrong. I grabbed the closet door and pulled it open. That's when I saw it. The large carving knife, clutched in his hand. The expression on his face was wrong, half lifeless, blank. I bolted from the room and locked myself in the bathroom, my heart threatening to pound out of my chest. I thought about calling the police. I didn't. I just waited, listening, until I heard him go back to the couch. Then I ran to my bedroom, locked the door, and stayed awake until morning. At around 3 a.m., I sent a message to his roommate on social media, asking what had really happened between them. I didn't get an answer until the next morning. The reply came in the form of 3 long messages. The roommate told me Evan had come into his room one night, also holding a knife. He'd been standing at the foot of his bed until the roommate tackled him to the ground. Evan claimed he was sleepwalking. The roommate didn't believe him. Hearing that made everything 100 times more disturbing, because Evan had already told me he didn't sleepwalk. At least, not that he knew of. Now I didn't know what to believe. That day, I told Evan he had to leave. He didn't argue, just packed up and went, saying he'd probably go back to his mom's place. We still follow each other on social media, but I slowly let the friendship fade. I never wanted him staying in my home again. Even now, I still don't know what to make of those 2 nights, or the fact that he entered more than one person's room in the middle of the night, knife in hand. This is a very delicate story for me to share, one I've decided to disguise, changing names and a few details so that no one could ever trace it back to me. For nearly 6 years, I have been close friends with a girl I'll call Hannah. We met in high school, bonded over everything from late-night study sessions to inside jokes that only we understood. We even went to the same college, sharing a dorm room for our first couple of years. By junior year, we decided it was time to move out of the dorms and into an off-campus apartment. It was a 3-bedroom place, and our third roommate was another friend, Carla. I wasn't as close to Carla as I was to Hannah, but we got along fine. We'd often go out together on weekends, the 3 of us, laughing, eating, and enjoying our independence. Still, Hannah was my best friend, the one I confided in, the one I trusted more than anyone else my age. Spring break was coming up. We started planning when we'd each head home. Carla and I were leaving the same day. Hannah said she'd stay an extra day to work one last shift at her part-time job. Nothing unusual, or so I thought. The day Carla and I left, I hugged Hannah goodbye, joking that I'd probably see her tomorrow anyway when I got home. I got on the freeway, music playing, feeling that usual mix of relief and excitement you get before a school break. But then, out of nowhere, I remembered something. Something important. That gut-dropping moment when you realize you've forgotten something you need. I pulled over to check my bags. Laptop, nowhere. Backpack, empty of electronics. It hit me. I had left it at the apartment, and I couldn't go almost 2 weeks without it. So, reluctantly, I turned the car around and started the half-hour drive back. When I arrived, I let myself in, calling out for Hannah, ready to laugh about how stupid I'd been. No answer. She didn't seem to be home. Her bedroom door was wide open, though, which was strange. Hannah always kept it closed when she wasn't there. I went to my own room, looking around for my laptop, under the bed, on the desk, and my bag again. Nothing. Then I glanced toward Hannah's room, and there it was, my laptop, sitting open on her bed, right next to her laptop. Something about the sight of it made my stomach twist. Why would she even have it? Why hadn't she texted me? When I picked it up, I noticed it was signed into my account. She had somehow gotten in. She knew my password. That alone was enough to make me feel uneasy. But what I saw next made my blood run cold. On Hannah's laptop, there was a folder open. Inside, dozens of pictures of me. Not just regular pictures. Disturbing ones. Some were of me passed out on the couch after nights out. Others were of me wrapped in just a towel in my bedroom or stepping out of the bathroom. Moments that no one should have been there to see, let alone photograph. My hands were shaking as I began looking through her room. The closet was where I found them. My belongings. Clothes. Personal items I won't describe in detail because it's too disturbing. Things that were mine, taken without my knowledge. I grabbed everything I could find, left her room, locked my own bedroom door, and stormed out. Once I got into my car, I called my parents. I didn't know what else to do. They were stunned, silent, even. There was no advice they could give. This was beyond anything any of us had imagined. By the time I got home, I saw that Hannah had blocked me on social media. Instagram, Snapchat, and I assumed my phone number as well. I didn't try to contact her. I never wanted to. When I returned to the apartment a week and a half later, she was gone. Her room was empty. Every trace of her had been removed. It stayed that way. For almost a year, I didn't see her. Until one night, we crossed paths in public with mutual friends. She couldn't even look at me, kept her head down, avoiding eye contact. No explicación. No apology. Nothing. And then I remembered something. Something from our first month in that apartment. I had been drinking one night, celebrating with friends, and came home tipsy. I remember falling asleep in my bed, and then waking suddenly to a sound. Something in my closet. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, certain I saw movement inside. I was so frightened that I bolted from my room and ran straight to Carla's, screaming for her. By the time she came back with me, the closet was empty. Hannah claimed she hadn't even woken up during all the noise. Now, I know better. She was in there that night, hiding, watching, maybe even waiting. I still get sick to my stomach wondering what else she did that I never found out about. What other pictures existed? What moments of my life she took? Moments I didn't even know I'd lost. The person I thought was my best friend was nothing more than a sick, twisted stalker. This is a deeply personal and disturbing story. I'm not even sure why I'm sharing it here. Maybe it's because I haven't been able to get it out of my head. Up until a few days ago, I considered this guy, let's call him Darren, my best friend. We met in one of my college classes. At first, our friendship was mostly built on cheating on tests together, helping each other find answers for homework, and sitting next to each other when we knew an easy grade was on the line. Eventually, we started hanging out outside of class. Over time, I began telling him personal things, stuff I didn't share with most people, because for some reason, I felt comfortable enough with him. That didn't mean I thought he was some saint. If I'm being honest, I never saw Darren as a high-quality person, but he was there when I needed someone to talk to, or at least I thought he was. One night, I had no plans, so I hit him up. He suggested we go to one of the bars in town. I agreed and drove us there, since I wasn't planning to drink much. But Darren, for whatever reason, he decided this was going to be a blackout night. Shot after shot, mixed drink after mixed drink. Before long, he was stumbling, slurring, and approaching random women with these awkward, borderline creepy comments. I had to apologize to two girls at one point, trying to laugh it off so it wouldn't be a scene. But inside, I was cringing. The night wasn't fun anymore. It was stressful, so I decided to call it. I pulled him out of the bar, got into my car, and drove him back to his apartment. Now, this was the first time I had ever been inside his place. When we walked in, I helped him to his couch, where he instantly collapsed. He dropped his phone on the floor, still unlocked, and didn't move a muscle. He was out. Here's where I crossed the line. I'll admit, I'd always been curious about Darren. He never talked about work, but he always had money to blow. Something about him felt off. So, I picked up his phone. I started scrolling through his camera roll. At first, it was nothing unusual, screenshots, random memes, selfies. Then I noticed an album. It was titled Girls. That title alone set off alarm bells. I opened it, and I froze. These weren't just photos of women. These were pictures of young women tied to a bed. Some of them were visibly crying, terrified. The images were disturbing, and the more I looked, the more my stomach churned. I won't get into the worst details, but trust me, these were not just role-play kind of photos. At first, I thought maybe they were pulled from the internet, but then I noticed something, a bright blue bed cover in several of the pictures. I felt my body go cold. Slowly, I walked to Darren's bedroom. I turned on the light. The same bright blue bed cover stared back at me. I didn't even know how to process it. I grabbed my phone, sent two of the pictures to myself, deleted the sent messages off his phone, and put it back where it was. Then, I left. The next day, I got a text from Darren. I know you went in my room. We need to talk now. A second text followed. If you saw any pictures, they were just role-playing. I didn't respond. I didn't know how he knew I'd been in his room, or how he knew I'd seen the pictures. That night, he came to my place. He rang my doorbell over and over, at least 30 times. I ignored it. Hours later, when I was trying to sleep, I heard small rocks hitting my window. Then I heard his voice calling my name. Moments later, I heard one of my windows rattle. He was trying to open it. I grabbed my phone, called him, and yelled into the receiver, "Leave me the hell alone, or I'm calling the cops." Then I hung up. That was the last time I heard from him directly. I still have those two pictures on my phone. I don't know what to do with them. If he really knows I saw that album, I don't know if he'll try to target me, or if he'll just disappear. But right now, I'm scared for my well-being.